legends, and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight are Shane and Liam. How you doing, Liam?
Oh, hang on a second, mate. Hang on. Yep. Right, it's okay. VAR has given us the go-ahead to proceed with the show. We're fine. Okay, I was just checking. Yep, all good here.
Brilliant. Now, how are you, Shane?
I'm good. I'm very good. Had a wonderful weekend. Went a little bit too hard on Saturday night, which we'll get into later, and so had a very quiet one to ring in 2024.
As if you went hard, Shane. Come off it. Yeah, no, it was it was a good night out at the CSC, which we'll talk about later on as well. So I think what do you want to talk about, boys? We brought in the new year, so let's start off with that. And we had a bit of a break over Christmas and the New Year period. So first thing is, how'd you go with how'd you go with your Christmas stuff? Did you get any Celtic gear?
Well, you are well for me. No, mainly because I've already. It seems like I've already got everything. Sometimes, really, the amount of stuff that I pop on with the show of whichever kits I'm wearing. So, a little bit of a break from that, but no, Christmas was good. Just a really low key catch up with my folks that me and my partner went to. So. Really enjoyable day with mum and dad. Shout out to them. They put on an awesome feast as always. I felt terribly guilty because I didn't contribute much, but that's what mum and dad do. So, but yeah, just a quiet one, mate.
How about yourself, Liam?
Well, my phone's just been off with yet another earthquake alert. So yeah, that's interesting.
Get under the desk.
Yeah. I can't. There's no room for me after Pedro, you know. But anyway. It's all good here. We did have quite a shaky earthquake this afternoon, and luckily it's nowhere near where we are. But my screen's shaking. Hold on a wee second. Oh. I am not joking. We are actually feeling a tremor right now. You have it, live coverage of an earthquake as it happens.
Oh, there you go. You get it all in Celtic Down Under.
Aye. Word of advice, folks. If ever you're with your lovely Japanese wife and there is an earthquake, putting your arms around her and saying, "Did the earth move for you, darling?" is not a good idea. Anyway, moving on.
Jesus.
I was going to show you boys. I don't know how to get a segue on that, but you're in Japan, Liam. That's the only segue I got.
Yeah.
Got the Hoyt's Kyogo bobblehead for the it's called bauble for the Christmas tree. Slight problem. Didn't get here on time. I got delivered 2 days after Christmas. So, don't know what to do with him now. He's just hanging around, generally being a menace. So, yeah, good fun. But, yeah, we'll get on to the game, obviously. So, yeah, we'll talk about where we all watched the game and everything like that. So, and then we'll dig in from there. So, me and Shane were down at the Melbourne No. 1 CSC and at the Turf Bar in the city. It was a great night out. We'll dive into that. A few things that happened during the game and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was a great night out there. So I just want to start off by giving a shout out to them and to a few people we met there. So there was James, Tommy, Kim, and Jason. They are the group that I met out the front of it, and we ended up sitting with them the whole night, enjoying the game. Top people. Nice to meet you all. We met another Jason later on in the night. Loved it. A big fan of Shane's. And then shout out to Arthur and his son and the guys who were running the place down there. It was really good to see the Melbourne No. 1 where I used to go when I first started going to games as a kid, getting back out and about and building it back up. So yeah, it was a great night. Shane, what was your thoughts on the overall atmosphere there?
Oh, I loved it. I've been looking forward to getting out to an event at the Turf Bar where we've sort of all gathered together. That I don't get a chance a lot of the times just due to work and so forth. And the last time I went was a couple of months ago, and it was fairly late or very early in the morning, and so there weren't as many people there. So myself and my good mate Vinny, who sometimes pops along in the comments, we'd already started the night. We were out at the Melbourne Victory Adelaide United game, and then slowly made our way back to the city to come along to Turf Bar. We got in there an hour early before kickoff, and it was absolutely pumping. The place was humming. The songs were being sung. The drinks were being poured. Fun was being had, put it that way. And I hadn't experienced that kind of environment. And, this is also the first time you and I have caught up at a CSC and watched a game together as well, which I've really been looking forward to as well.
Yeah, you got to witness it, the whole setup where it's all going. And so the Facebook group event and everything was saying starts at 8:00, and I'm like, Turf Bar, yeah, you got to either reserve seats or get in early. So I went in there, got there at 8:00. So I'm like 3.5 hours before kickoff. Perfect. What can go wrong? Plenty of bevy time. No, they changed it. It won't open until 9. So it was like we all found this around the corner. There was another Irish pub. So we're in there. They had the Rebs on. They had smashing in the Magners, and some people on like the Kilkennys and a bunch of other drinks, and just getting right into it. And we're sitting at the table just smashing the table, going like this, going absolutely ballistic, having a song. So we were singing from about 8:15 through to, I don't know what time the game ended. About
1:30. Yeah.
About 2 a.m. non-stop. So that's why the voice is a little raspy today, but totally worth it. Good night out. So Shane was absolutely living it up too.
Oh, I just wanted to concur with your shout out. Like, this is the first time I've really experienced a CSC event like that, and I totally enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm so glad you remembered the names, because I got home and I was completely foggy in the mind of who I met. I wasn't going to give anyone really individual shout outs because there were so many names. I got them all lost. So you did a lot better than me, but I just thoroughly enjoyed bouncing around. The atmosphere alone was one thing, but to bounce around so many different people, the conversations, the stories about Celtic, it was just, for someone who's, loves the club but hasn't really immersed myself in that supporter culture, or hasn't really had the chance to experience it much, I really did appreciate it. And, Vinny had an awesome night who was with us, and, a shout out to Teresa and Anthony, who came along from the victory game as well, to walked in about 10 minutes in. I'm sure they were caught off guard by just how pumping the place was. At that point, we were 10 minutes into the game, and all hell was starting to break loose a little bit. It was just before we scored, but I loved it. I can't wait to do it again.
Funniest thing is, you're saying they walked in and whatever, there was a table just up from us, like the next table along from where we were towards the bar. And I asked this bloke, do you need a couple of seats? Because I grabbed a couple to chuck aside for Shane and Vinny and all that, so we could make sure we had enough people, that spots people to sit. This guy goes, I got mates coming. He goes, what's on tonight? Not Celtic fans at all. We're like singing and everything an hour before, and they're like, what the hell, looking around, bugging. By the end of it, they're clapping along to it when we're doing Merry Christmas, the rest, that sort of stuff. And they're going, duh, duh, along with it, just loving it. So I think we got a couple of converts. The guy goes, what's this group? How do I follow it? So he's actually followed their group and our group on the Facebook thing as well, to keep in touch. So yeah, it's all great to see. We're growing. It's good to get Melbourne #1 up and about. So how do you watch the game, Liam?
In the house with the company of my dad over the internet, and a lovely bottle of amaretto that my wife got me for my Christmas. So I had a good time as well. Especially when Kyogo's goal went in. I'm saying,
we'll get into that. We'll get into that if you want, Liam, but keep going.
No, it was just a really good. I was really nervous in the run up to the game, because we have not been playing well recently generally, but I just looked at when the team lineups came out. That was when I got a good feeling. I just looked at their team, I looked at ours, and I thought, we're better than this mob. Form be damned, we are better than this mob, and sure enough, we went out and proved it.
Well, on that, Liam, I just woke up randomly on Boxing Day, and I was just like, we're going to do them 3-1. And I just had that in my head the whole time. I go, I'm not even fearful. And I said to Shane pre-game, and I said to a few others, they go, oh, so do you reckon? They were like, oh, it's going to be strange. I said, as long as when that lineup comes out, I don't see Turnbull and O'Reilly in the same starting midfield, we're going to win this. No questions asked. So, yeah, it wasn't the 3-1, but I was going into it. I was pretty happy with how everything played out there. And, yeah, we got the starting lineup out there, and, yeah, it was pretty much straightforward what was expected. So I quickly rattled through that. So it was Hart, Alistair Johnson, Welsh and Scales, with Taylor at left back, and then O'Reilly, McGregor, Bernardo in the midfield. Up front, Palmer, Maeda, and Kyogo. So for me, looking at that, I was just like, okay, let's go. After the end of that, at half time, I said to you, Shane, I said, just pay the money for Bernardo, get it done.
Yep.
I think a lot of people are saying that at the CSC and and whatever group chats that I'm in, those are saying, yep, pay the money, make Bernardo our player. Yep, he's come to play now. A bit of a fan. So yeah, it was. I just thought overall, first half, what we'll do is we'll just go through each of the halves. Like we've got the starting lineup, but we'll just chat generally about the first half and then the goals scored, and then the second half, same deal. So first half for me, I thought we should have been probably 2-0. Should have been at least 2 or 3 goals scored for us. Yeah, I thought we were pretty dominant. Then when Narosky come on and Welsh went off injured, there was that period for about 5-10 minutes where they started to get a bit of a rhythm and get into the game. And then we got back on top of things to finish the half. Shane, let's see what you remember from the state you were in. Unless you've rewatched it, the first half, what were your thoughts?
Well, I am going to say that my memories are a little bit hazy. So if I recall things or things that didn't happen or players that weren't on the pitch, apologies. Now, from my recollections, I thought we started really well. I thought we started really brightly. And we'll get into individual player focus later, but our midfield in particular, I thought it started really well. And I think that midfield three of Bernardo, Calmac, and O'Reilly was really important. And it's good to see Rodgers has actually stuck with that over the past few weeks. So we've had now 3 matches in a row where they've been the starting 3 midfielders. And I think you can start to see that rhythm and that kind of connection that they're building together. So I thought we started really well. I thought we were on the front foot. I thought we were moving the ball pretty quickly. We were getting into good areas. It wasn't exactly working out 100% as planned, but I still thought we looked good. In that kind of game, you want to start well. You don't ever want to be on the back foot. You want to be asserting some sort of dominance. You're at home. It's paradise. It's hostile for them. You want to come out and match that energy from the crowd with your performance, and we did that. I thought for the most part of the first half, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, that we should have gone in 2-0, and I think that would have been a better reflection of how we played in that first half. I thought on most parts of the pitch we were on top of them. There was that small stage, as you alluded to, where they had a little bit of a run, but we did correct that. And a lot of the chances they had, or at least the key couple of ones that I can remember, were actually really from us making a mistake, like that loose pass back from Alistair Johnston, which Dessers just got on and just had absolutely no idea. He forgot how to hit the shoot button on the controller. It was that kind of moment. But
wasn't he?
Exactly. It's just like the button stopped working. He's just mashing it. Nothing's happening. But look, like I said, I pretty much agree with your summation. I will give you a little bit, or regale you a little bit of a story from the first half from the CSC for me, and you'll recall this, Jared. You know where I'm going with this.
Don't be talking about it because you're going to ruin a joke, mate.
Oh, you want me to back off with that? You want me to leave it for you?
We'll see if we're on the same thing. I was going to say, Shane, I was going to do when I was talking about the stoppage time and how often Seema was going down. I was going to who spent more time on their back on the game? Was it Seema constantly going down on the pitch, or was it Shane when he went arse over celebrating the first goal?
You were on the same page as me. So when that Bernardo goal went in, the place erupted. I found myself jumping around like crazy, and unfortunately, I'm a small build, as Jason came to find out when he met me. And there was a bit of a wave of momentum of people celebrating. I'm not the strongest, and I kind of gave way. Ended up on the floor of the turf bar, and I was trying to pull myself up. I was inadvertently pulling Vinny down by accident. It was quite crazy.
You've missed half of it. You've fallen down. You've tried to grab something. You've grabbed a stool and tipped that over from the next table.
Oh, did I really?
You've also pulled Vinny down on top of you. And I'm like, look at these two having a cuddle. And then I pick Vinny up because you're still pulling and help me up, but he's on top of you. So I've got Vinny off, and then I've helped you up, and then the stool's there. And then I think it was Kim or Tommy, one of them grabbed the stool, put it back, and then you've turned around, bumped into the stool, and the stool's fallen over again.
I don't remember the stool part at all, which gives you an idea of the state I was in at that point. What I do remember is there seemed to be an unnecessarily noticeable delay in the score going up on the board, and I think they might have been checking it, and I was getting pretty annoyed that this might be somehow overruled or chalked off, and all that celebrating to have a goal chalked off, it would have been quite funny. But yeah, it was a stack and a half, that's for sure.
So I've got a couple of comments for you from your stack here. So Willie's asking, did Sevco get a penalty for that incident, Shane? And Vinny's saying that his bum's a bit sore from Shane's stack.
Oh.
Well, as long as he said stack, not sack, we're laughing.
I still can't even remember the stool part of it. I don't even remember. I just remember falling over, hitting the ground, and couldn't get up. I was literally, if I was in the same kit that Liam's in, it would have literally been like a turtle on his back trying to get up. It was that kind of.
The funniest part is, yeah, that happened. But then in the second half, when Kyogo scores, you've gone forward to like the other group that was in front of us, which was like Arthur and his son and the guys who run the CSC. You've given Arthur a hug, and then you're just jumping around, and you've just gone boom and sliding again. And Arthur's actually grabbed you and kept you up a second time. So you almost went down a second time, Shane. Brilliant.
I was at the bar when we scored. I ran back from the bar just to celebrate, and then ran back to the bar to get my drink. So I wasn't missing out celebrating with everybody, that's for sure. I was sharing the love.
No, it was good fun. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, what I'll do is I'll just bring up some comments here, and then we'll get your thoughts on overall in the first half, Liam, before we crack into the second half.
Yeah.
Having a good chuckle here. New computer, so I'm trying to make sure I get the other one decided to go, die. So I'm trying to get this thing right. So
you're not using your computer anymore. You're using your computer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Still the same laptop, right? Just so we're clear. Aye.
It took a while to get then.
Happy New Year. Then we've got here Marty. All the best to yourself as well. Uncle Nobby Steamboat. Happy New Year. I'll just go through a bunch of this. Michael. From your upside down chums, Happy New Year, mate. Martin, same to you. James, right back at you. Uncle Nobbies again. Hunties and New Year's, love them. RL77, Happy New Hun Sculpin, folks. Let's bring up a whole bunch of them. Robert's saying he watched Celtic TV. He doesn't watch the pre-match or halftime dribble. Yeah, I don't blame you for that. But the CSC, we didn't have that problem. There was two massive lines at halftime. It was either a line to the toilet or a line to the bar. Actually, a third line out for all the people going for the darts as well. Yeah.
Was there another line to the bookies betting on a penalty at Rangers?
No, I wouldn't even talk on that before we're talking about the first half, so we'll leave that. We're going to talk about that a bit later. There we go.
I have some thoughts.
RL77, Bernardo and O'Reilly in midfield is way forward. Uncle Nobby is saying I was at the kiosk at Celtic Park, and one of the electric boards was a head-to-head state of O'Reilly and Lumsden, and then I immediately knew we were going to beat him. Robert Gibbs says I wasn't sure what Bernardo does in the park. Apparently he scores belters against the Huns. Yep. Yeah, they never really got into the game. There's another one. And then RL77, he knows you too well, Liam. Hugh Liam pushing schooling.
Well, thankfully, I got some medicine for that from the doctor, so I don't have that problem anymore.
Nice. All right, Liam, your thoughts on the first half overall?
It was we started really, really well, like you said, and I said to my dad, I said, look, we're going to beat this mob today because we're moving the ball really well. We are looking the movement is as fluid as it's been in months. But that's enough about my bowls anyway. The team's movement was excellent, is what I'm trying to say. And we did really, we were really on top of it. And when the goal came, it was completely expected. It was like, this is just rewards for our dominance in the first 20-25 minutes of the game. We did allow them back into it a wee bit before half time. That chance where Dessers was clean through, word for word, I said to my dad, don't worry, it's only Dessers. And sure enough, he duly fell over his own feet as it happened. And then, of course, there was the shall we say that the Huns losing the plot at the correct application of the rules, which we'll get into a wee bit later on. That was hilarious. Yeah, and you know, I wasn't able to watch the same feed that my dad was, but he assures me that Chris Boyd's face at halftime was utterly hilarious. So I'll have to try and dig up a video of that somewhere.
I've got photos. I don't know. It might be on my computer. Keep talking, Liam, and I can have a dig if you want to try and bring one up on the screen.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I felt that we were doing really well until that injury for Welsh, and Nawrocki I thought was a wee bit shaky to start with, but he really grew into the game as we moved on. And I don't know if you can give man of the match to a guy that comes on to near the end of the first half, but to me he was up there in terms of just standing up, doing what needed to be done, and doing it well. I thought he was excellent. I thought Maeda put in a really good shift with just being a nuisance. Not much end product, but he never gave them a minute's peace. He was every time one of them was trying to bring the ball out the back, he was right on top of them. And it was, that's the part of his game that I think a lot of people maybe don't fully appreciate. I still think he's wasted out on the right, but good shift from him. Yeah, it was just first half, deserved lead. They came back into it towards the end of the first half, and I said, I can't remember if it was our chat or if it was the Axom chat, but I said in one of our group chats, we need a second goal just to kill this mob. As soon as the second half starts, we need to go out and get that second goal. And well, the rest is history.
Yeah, so on that, Liam, it was funny because talking about Maeda, we're going to go a bit of player focus, but we'll dive into that. Second half, we can jump on and we'll talk about it. We'll go on whatever tangents we need. But Maeda on the right, I had can't remember who I was talking to. Someone was saying, "Oh, this is we should go left. Got to go to Palmer. Got to go to Palmer." And I'm like, "No, what you got to realize is we're running. If we're constantly going to Maeda, we're going at their left back, which means to cover our guys on the other side, Tavernier's having to run up and down that left and up and down the right anyway. So he's getting the miles into his legs. Didn't help for later on with his goal and everything like that, but." The hard running, the way we were playing away from him, I actually thought was good because it means we're getting at both of their fullbacks, even if it was majority going to Maeders, and we're a little wasteful on the cut back in or the cross back in. But it opened up a lot of space for the secondary ball. I just thought in the first half, the amount of times I'm standing there next to Shane, I'm going, just shoot it. Because we're at the top of the box, we're wide open, and all you got to do is just put the laces through it. Similar sort of distance to Kyogo's goal at the start of the second half. Just put the laces through it, have a shot. Because, in my opinion, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go on this little mini tangent within a tangent. Every time I play Football Manager or FIFA for the last 10 years, right, and I'm playing as Celtic, first player I would always sign was Butland as a goalkeeper. I always rated him. Even though he's over that side of town, I don't like that he's there, but he is a quality keeper. I will give credit where it's due because of my history on that. So ideally, I'm looking at it going, if you put a shot in like that, he's not going to be able to get to the top corners. So just take some shots, and worst case scenario, it ricochets off someone, and you get a second shot where you can tap it in where the defense is scrambling. When their defense is actually set and you're trying to pass through them to feet, or feed it to the byline for a cut back across the box, he's coming to gather that at his 6-yard box every time. Or only his defenders is getting a head on it and clearing it. And that's the sort of thing we struggled with a little bit in the first half. Once you started putting the laces through it like Kyogo did in the start of the second half, I'm like, okay, that's cool. So, yeah, the amount of times I was standing next to, I think it was Vinny or Shane, going, just shoot the bloody thing. Yeah. I know it's not going to make a difference. They can't hear me in Australia when they're playing in Scotland, but it makes me feel good.
You got to vent sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, well, I think what we'll do is we'll go to so the full play going out wide was pretty wasteful in the first half and ineffective. But yeah, we'll go second half now. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about the goals overall. Or do you want to talk about Bernardo's goal? We'll go Bernardo's goal. Shane, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it was a good strike, and he'd threatened earlier on as well. He had the header where came in late and he wasn't marked, and he nodded that wide. And then there was that earlier shot just before the one that he buried, where he hit the side netting, and some of us thought it had actually gone in. So he was making. I thought he was picking up really good positions on the edge of the box when we were going forward. And what I really loved about his game was that he wasn't always necessarily involved or getting on the ball, but he just knew position-wise where to be. He was able to make space for others to benefit. And that's why I think you've got this really good balance in midfield now. But, look, it was a deserved goal. Like, we were really on the front foot at that point, and we needed a goal to reflect our actual dominance in the game. And it's a decent hit. And I thought that, if anyone was going to get it, he was. He was the one that was actually getting closest. I know Kyogo had a chance as well early on. But yeah, no, he looked good. His timing was really good. And it was a tidy finish. And I wholeheartedly agree with what you said earlier. I think it's about time now we pay the money and get him on board permanently.
But Anthony here is saying the same thing. Bernardo, there you go. He's combined them both. Has arrived. Nice one there. See what you're doing. But yeah, it was the thing with Bernardo. Like, I've always tried to figure out. When you look at a player, and it's like, who does he remind me of? And this is going to sound weird. When he's doesn't have the ball and he's positioning, he reminds me a little bit of Stuart Armstrong, sort of way he positions and the way where he presses and holds off. But going forward, particularly on the weekend where he wasn't afraid to shoot, he was reminding me of Ryan Christie without putting the ball into Rosette. So it was, I'll be happy. Just pay the money for him.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, about 5 or 6 million quid we're talking? Just get that done. Get it done in January. That's that's a no-brainer to me. Took time to find his feet, but he's clearly showing now what a player he is. And that goal was a thing of absolute beauty. I mean, the technique in that shot, just to get that much power from that distance and to hit it with that accuracy was just superb.
And then we'll get to the second half. We'll just talk about that. So Shane, what's your thoughts overall in the second half?
Well, you and Liam both mentioned it, and I concurred that we really needed that second goal. We should have gone in 2-0 at half time. Liam said we really need to get that second goal to kill them off. And so if you're not going to score just before halftime to take a 2-0 lead in, the next best thing you can do is score directly after halftime and play resumes. And that's exactly what we did. And it's a wonderful finish from Kyogo. And I just love the craft. I love the craft. He's heading back towards goal. Goldson's kind of just taken his eye off him a little bit. And that forward craft to kick in. He knows that he can nip forward. He can create a little bit of space. Just drift forward a bit, get on the ball. He knows he's able to get on the ball and turn and face goal without getting pressured. He knows he's aware he's got that space. And then, to top it all off, that finish, that top right-hand corner finish, it's a thing of beauty. That's a wonderful strike. The strike of a quality player. And I know he hasn't had the best of seasons, but that quality that he possesses is absolutely still there. And it was on show with that one finish and moment of forward craft alone. It was superb. Wonderful, wonderful strike. And at that point, I really think that shook them. I don't remember them having any kind of foothold in the game from that point forward up until Tav's goal. I felt like we were really not necessarily on top and constantly pressing for a third, but we were controlling. We had that foothold. We had the game in our keep, and they couldn't really find a way back in. And that got topped off with the red card as well. From there, you thought, well, they're really no chance from here. Like that should be game, set, and match. Now, you'll probably recall I did say at the pub I wanted a third just to be well and truly sure of it. And you know what? There was a little bit of, shall we say, nerves when Tav scored to make it 2-1 because all of a sudden your buffer's only one goal. But at no point did I ever think that they deserved anything from the match. That's for sure. And I'm glad we hung on in the end. But yeah, it would have been nice to get a third. But overall, what I'd say a really professional second half. I'd call it a professional second half.
The thing with the second half, Shane, is what we saw was once we got that second goal and they weren't getting a foothold in the middle of the park in particular, what did they start to do? They started to get more physical. They started to beat us up. You know, what's his name? Seema. You know, constantly like getting a little bump and diving, trying to milk things. TikTok Todd, when he came off, it was the best reaction ever. Getting a port off the pitch because he was that rubbish. Things like that it was funny, right? But yeah, I just found it like just a strange second half. Like I thought our defense was solid without being overly convincing. But once they scored, they kind of had the momentum. And even though they were a man down, they looked more likely to be getting that goal. But then I think it was Mikey Johnson who went the other way and almost got that third goal for us. And it was just like it was a fair crack what he did, and he's just unlucky. So we could have had that third goal, but then at the same time they could have equalised just as much the other way. So yeah, I'm gonna go on a little selfish thing back to the CSC talk for a second. My highlight of the second half was when Kyogo scored and he's celebrating. We're all going mental, and I've just gone like this, doing a celebration in the middle of CSC, and there was about 10 people the other side just went like that back to me. I was just like, yes. And then I watched the game back, and Kyogo didn't even do that as his goal celebration, so it made me look like an idiot.
It's like that picture you see where the guy's in the crowd and he shouts out "Dental plan," and all these other voices go, "Lisa needs braces." It's like, yeah, it's
Yeah. So Liam, was your thoughts in the second half?
Well, yeah, like I said, needed the goal and Kyogo delivered immediately. You know, you mentioned before how much you rate Jack Butland, and I think he's an excellent goalkeeper as well. And the fact that he even managed to get near that was incredible. And he got a hand to it, but the sheer power of it took it in. But that was, you know, it was going to take something special to beat him again. And like you know, Kyogo produced the goods. Red card was a clear red card all day long. And you know, if he hadn't taken him down, Maeda was in and would probably have scored. So either way, it was game over for the Huns. And then I think that we allowed them back into it. We have this problem, which has not gone away despite the fact that we managed to win that game. That we are not ruthless enough. We create plenty of chances, we don't take enough of them. And also, when we have teams on the ropes, we do not deliver the knockout blow. After that second goal, they were rattled. They were totally deflated. They were mentally broken. We should have put our foot on their throats and scored 3 or 4.
And that's what would have happened under
the fact that it finished 2-1 is, yeah, exactly. The fact that it finished 2-1 is not a true reflection of how on top we were in that game. Give or take 10 minutes at the end of the first half and about the same at the end of the second half. But yeah, we were by far the better team, but also it's an indictment on the current state of Celtic that was even a contest, because they are rank rotten. They should not have got near us. They really shouldn't have. And the fact that they expected to get something from the game just kind of speaks to how we need to work on being better than we are now. Although having their arrogance and expectation just makes winning all the sweeter. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how much you've seen of it, but the meltdowns online from them in the last 48 hours have been right up there with the best of the banter years. Honestly, I mean, it's oh god, it's conspiracy theories. It's the Vatican. It's the Jews. Apparently, it's all kinds of things that's keeping them back. Not the fact that they lost a football match to a team that are clearly better than them. You know.
I thought the funniest thing as well was like Kelmac when he got his man of the match thing up in the was it bar 7 or whatever it is up at the stadium. He's up there, and you know he said something along the lines of, "Who have they beaten?" And I'm like, that's our captain coming out after the game saying, "Yeah, we weren't worried because who have they beaten?" And I'm just like, "You absolute hero."
Well, that's why I was so confident going into it, is because of the fact that, you know, this was their biggest challenge by far under their new management, basically. They hadn't experienced an atmosphere and environment like this, right? So this was always going to be a massive step up. And we've seen the online stuff, you know, we're coming, we're ready, we're here, just give us a chance. But I don't think they really anticipated just what the gap between the two teams essentially is. And it showed on the weekend, even though the scoreline didn't properly reflect it. And the meltdown for me, we'll talk about the penalty and VAR stuff later, but the meltdown for me around basically the VAR stuff basically being essentially a robbery, and the fact that they were somehow in the game is laughable. At no point could you say that they were the better team. Like maybe 10 minutes here or there, they kind of evened out or were on top a little bit, but you're kidding yourself if you think that they were any way, shape, or form the better team throughout the entire 90. There's no way. At times, they didn't even lay a glove on us, you know. I'm not giving the right credit here, but, you know, there was that media thread where basically the interviewer was asking their manager about, you know, do you think you were the better team? And he was refusing to answer. And it was fucking hilarious. But we were doing all A's in like the 70th minute with every pass. I'm like, do you really think you were the better team if we were doing that? Come on, mate. Give us a spell.
The other thing as well is like you got Brendan's comment after, and I'll bring it up because it was in the comments here. James Sweeney said, "What do you think of Rodgers' comments? He's now faced 5 Sevco managers and beat them all, and that they are always supposedly coming." Like you got Kelmag's comments about who have they beaten. You've got Rodgers saying that, and it's just like absolute peak banter in terms of, you know, the fact that they actually thought that they deserved to be in the conversation. That, oh yeah, we should have won with a better team. You weren't. You got beat. We beat you at your place. We beat you at our place. To quote The Rock from back in the day, know your role and shut your mouth. That's the best way to sum it up.
To quote myself from a couple of years ago, they've been coming for longer than Ron Jeremy and still no sign of them arriving.
Guess what, Layman? I'm going to tell you something. I deliberately didn't hit monetization on YouTube on this one because I thought it could get a little bit loose because of the amount of, you know, huns and stuff like that and bagging them out. And then that comment, I'm pretty glad I didn't now.
All right, yeah. Sorry. I apologize.
Laughy Syntax meltdown is the best ever. That's a belter of a name, by the way.
Oh, man.
So we'll go there player focus. Actually, no, we'll get into the VAR crap and then we'll come back to it, right? So RL77, get the VAR commentary through frequency scanners. It's a favourite for the meltdown. You got a whole bunch of that sort of stuff. So I think that the easiest thing, I'm going to start it here, and then Shane, you put some stuff from the IFAB or whatever it is in our group chat earlier. So jump in off the back of what I'm saying. But for me, they're very selective in how they want the rules applied. We see it with the entitlement of they're constantly getting their penalties every week, which don't get called in any other game for the same contact. But then they're complaining that this is a penalty. Yes, it was a handball, and it wasn't in an unnatural position because of the way he was turning. So it still would have been question marks if it was a VAR review, but it was offside before it. So they're told play the advantage because of VAR. So the linesman's not going to put his flag up to say, yeah, it was offside. They're going to play it out. And then it comes back to the initial issue, which was the offside. What happened after that is irrelevant unless you clutter the goalkeeper pretty much. So in that situation, it's an offside. It's got nothing to do with a handball. That's irrelevant. But they're saying, oh, it shouldn't matter. We want the audio. We need this release, blah, blah, blah. They're carrying on because they didn't get what they wanted. However, you go back to the first derby this year, and they had a goal disallowed then for a foul on Lagerbelka. Knocked him over, stole the ball, fouled him, took the ball and scored, and then they blew up Deluxe Zen as well and sent a letter off and wanted an investigation. Why? Because they didn't get the rules. The rules were followed correctly by the referees in both games, but it didn't go their way. So I'm taking my bat and ball and going home. Sucks. So,
sorry, can I just say, just before you come in, Shane, just say, did I not predict this last week? I said to you, we'll beat them and they'll have a statement out by Monday morning.
I did. There you go. Statement FC won a statement, 100%.
It's just like that Simpsons meme, say the line, Bart. There it is. Release the statement, Sevco. Yay!
Yeah, so do you want to go through with that IFAB stuff that you sent through in our group chat, Shane?
Yeah, I was just reading into it today, and IFAB clearly states that for any goals, penalties or no penalty calls, or red cards for denying a goal scoring opportunity, that it may be necessary to check the attacking play or the build-up play beforehand in terms of where the attacking team even got possession of the ball. So basically, they say it's not all about the incident. Essentially that whole phase of play from start to finish where they pick up the ball is essentially checked. And it's I don't understand. I'm sure other people who are more experienced and have gone through these meltdowns before have a better appreciation of it, but I can't really believe it's gone to the level it has for someone who's a little bit on the periphery for all that stuff. It's cut and dry. It's offside. It was a handball, as you said, Jared. It would have been looked at, but the initial play that led to the handball was offside. So therefore, technology has correctly ruled that is an offside play. Therefore, nothing after that matters. Now, I'll play devil's advocate here. Maybe there should be some clarification around comms, maybe, but it doesn't matter. That's no excuse for what happened. It's offside. It's cut, as I said, it's cut and dry, and it's basically that. And you're right. We had this meltdown in the first derby where VAR intervenes on Lagerbielke basically getting kicked, where they win possession back before they score. And that's correctly applied there. And we're seeing another situation where VAR is correctly going back and applying the rules. And yet there's this complete meltdown around it. Now, we've all got our problems and we've all said our things about VAR in the past, but it does nothing to help the situation of VAR when you've got these kind of statements being made and coming out and pushing this agenda when it's actually getting a key decision right. Now, I've got no qualms if you're coming out complaining about something that's wrong and clearly wrong, but this is where things have been applied right, and yet these statements are only going to serve to undermine a system already under pressure, and that's what I really don't like about it. But it's like they only want technology to work, part of the time. It's like, well, VAR should have overturned that and given us a penalty for a handball. VAR correctly found it was offside. Oh, no, but it shouldn't have checked that. But you can't have technology just work at one part of the phase of build-up and not the other, right? That's not how it works. This is technology. This is VAR. You've got to take the good with the bad. It's absolutely laughable. It's complete deflection tactics. It's awful. I know Liam's going to go off on a tangent, so I don't really want to encroach too much on that because I know he's going to kick off. But it's considering what we had at the start of the season to now, it's just ridiculous. It really is.
I've got a couple of things to say before Liam goes on his tangent.
Sure.
Number one, we talk about the offsides and everything. We had one that was onside, ruled off because the flag went up. So, that's the one. If anyone's going to talk about any statements going to the SFA about offsides being incorrectly applied, it should be one of ours in the second half, I think it was. So that's the first thing. Number two, I'm going to bring up a quick comment here from Vinny because it was absolutely hilarious. Was one of the Huns' conspiracy theories that their manager is really Lord Voldemort?
Say what you will about Voldemort, he was competent.
Voldemort. So that's one for that thing. But all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave the last thing about that mob to you, Liam, for your tangent is the Rangers FC, Sevco, 5088, whatever the zombies, whatever we want to call them.
Tribute Act.
The Tribute Act, the works. There's so many of them. Always cheated, never defeated. That is all.
Well, where do I pick up from that? Let's just for a minute jump into a parallel universe, right? And let's just say that the referee did what he usually does and said penalty to Rangers, right? That would have been automatically checked by VAR, as all penalty decisions are, and it would have been found to be offside anyway. So even if the referee had given them the decision they wanted, they still wouldn't have got a penalty. So I really do not get Well, I mean, I know exactly where it comes from. It's just the Hun perma rage when they can't win. They can never just be beaten. There always has to be some kind of elaborate conspiracy to keep them down. It's pathetic, really. It's like, look, you get beat, just take it, and come back next time and have another go. But no, it's got to be this big meltdown, and it's all, it's all corruption. I mean, the Rangers support, with their sense of entitlement, their belief in the supremacist nonsense. This is exactly what happens, and you see. I'm not going to be specific, but if you see it in global politics, you see it in various situations in different countries. When one group has had their own way for so long, they cannot. Equality seems like oppression to them, and that's exactly what's happening with that mob now. They've had it their own way for so long that all that has happened in the last two games between Celtic and this incarnation of Rangers has been we've had two decisions that were given correctly and technologically proven to have been given correctly, and they can't handle it. They cannot handle a level playing field because they're so used to having their own way every week, and that is the bottom line of it. They cannot handle equality, which most fascists tend to struggle with. So that's they're not unique in that case. But yeah, anyway, that rant over. I just think that it's it's pathetic because you got beat, boys. Take it on the chin. Just accept it and move on. All this greeting is not going to get you anything. You're not going to get any points for it. You're not going to get all that might happen. And God, I really hope it doesn't. Is you might end up an official getting attacked in the street because of the anger that is being generated here. We saw it in Turkey a few weeks ago. What happens when all this rhetoric against referees goes up to the as much as I rant and rave about John Beaton, Nick Walsh, whatever, if I see him out in the street with his wains, I'm not going to bother him, right? Because you don't do that. But there are some in that Rangers support who would, because they believe they're entitled to do that. And this rhetoric empowers that mentality.
Now you've just brought up Nick Walsh. How do you think he went on the weekend? I actually thought he had a decent game, all things considered.
Yeah. Yep. Should have looked at our penalty call in the second half. But apart from that, yeah.
That's probably VAR, unfortunately, not necessarily Nick. He's waved it away. VAR's got to call him over.
He was a wee bit card happy for me, though. I think he was a wee bit loose particularly in the first half, a bit loose with the yellow cards. It's a derby game. It's a fiery atmosphere. The sensible thing to do is just to pull both captains aside and say, "Look, boys, just calm it down. Calm it down." But he didn't. He just started flashing the yellow cards, which, within the rules of the game, he's entitled to do. But I don't think that's the right way to referee a game between Celtic and Rangers. I think you need to have a cool head.
The thing on that, Liam, is I don't mind if refs want to flush the cards. My thing is, if you're going to call that same call as a yellow card 10 minutes in, you need to call the exact same call with 5 minutes to go in the second half, even if that person's already on a booking. That's the one thing I'm like that for all referees. And there was a couple of things there. I think I can't remember which one of their guys. I think it was Sterling. I thought he should have copped a second yellow.
Yeah.
And all he got was like he got a arm waved at him and a finger wag or something from the ref. I'm like, why? If you're waving your finger, show him a card. You've already booked him. Like, it's pretty obvious. So, yeah, I thought he was okay, all things considered.
Yep,
which is pretty rare to say after a derby. All right, so player focus. We'll get through that quickly. So we're going to talk about our back line. I'll go to the back line, and then we'll just duck through it. So I thought that it was good to see Johnston getting up and down, and Alistair Johnston, and I thought he seemed to look a lot more like himself in this game. Probably where he wasn't having to do as much attacking, he was actually up and down the field. So I thought that was probably the best game I reckon he's played for us this season in terms of positioning wise and the overall package. I thought Welsh and Scales looked good together. It's a pity Welsh got hurt. He was doing well at that point. Nawrocki, when he came in, as I think you said earlier, Shane, like You couldn't give him man of the match, but he would have been in my top probably 3 or 4 for the game for us, easy. Like
that would have been Liam, not me.
one of his. Yeah, I knew it was one of his. I took a punt. It's 50-50. You got it wrong. There you go. But yeah, like with Nawrocki, I look at it and go, I think he's established himself now. So he's got through that. He's done well, and now we've seen that there is a player there. So that's actually a good thing to come out of it. Liam Scales seems like he's made to wear that jersey. Once he's got into the team, he's had the odd little mistake, misplaced pass here, little stuff up there, whatever. But he's like, you tell he'll bleed for that jersey. He'll give anything for it. He's just working his ass off, getting his head into places on the weekend where he shouldn't be. The amount of times Des is like elbows misses your head by like a centimeter or two. He's just like getting in there, clearing things. He was just unreal. And then Taylor was probably the weakest link across the back line, but still he wasn't that bad. So anything to add, boys?
Alistair Johnson's best game of the season so far, in my opinion. I thought he was excellent. Welsh was doing really well until he got injured. It is a shame. It's a real shame because he's just come back from injury, was playing well, and Nawrocki came in and probably showed enough to keep his place ahead of Welsh when Welsh is fit again, which is really unfortunate. But it's just good that first of all that Brendan had the confidence to put Nawrocki on the bench, even though he hasn't recently. And he was there because if we didn't have a covering centre back, we'd have been in trouble. That was, I thought Taylor actually quite a good game in my opinion. I thought he did well. It's it's one of them. He's not always everyone's favourite, but I think he's done all right. And when Taylor plays badly, usually the entire team's played badly, but it seems to kind of focus on him for some reason. Everyone has their favourites, whatever, fine. But I thought Taylor was all right.
RL77's got a comment about Taylor. Terrible at left back, good in midfield. That's the conundrum.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, he is definitely better going forward than he is defensively. A bit like Tavernier at Rangers, actually. A good attacking option, but not much of a defender. So yeah, but it's true though, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
I know. It just felt like a lot of knife twisting, though.
Just what you were saying, Liam, as well about Welsh, right? Like, I feel he's unlucky in terms of he gets this chance. He signs his new contract extension. He's got his chance to get into the team, and then he gets hurt early in the season, and then Scales comes in and establishes himself and has done well. And now this situation, he gets his chance to come in, and he's doing well, and then he gets hurt, and then Nawrocki comes in, and he does that well. That it's like the poor bastard. That's all I can say to him. Like, I appreciate the job both Scales and Nawrocki have done on the weekend, but yeah, it's just poor timing for Welsh, really.
Look, I'll just pick up on the Nawrocki stuff. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm mistaken, that was his first time back on the pitch since we lost to Killy in the Cup. I don't think he's played since. He's been on the bench a couple of times. But I don't think he's actually got any minutes. So to come in, a little bit of a way through that kind of match in that kind of atmosphere and know that you're going to have to perform. And sure, it took him a little bit of time to say get warmed up, if we'll call it that. But once he found his feet, he was solid, as you boys have well and truly said. And I was really pleased with that. I can't discount the fact that obviously this is his first game time for a little while, and then to do it in that kind of environment and that kind of match, that takes a lot. It's got a lot of metal to it. So I definitely think he deserves the credit that you guys have given him, and I think he's definitely a shout to keep his spot next week.
Yep, 100%. There was something I was going to bring up here as well. I'm just trying to find the comment. Here you go, Uncle Nobby. Steamboat Taylor's definitely a weakest link, but got to admit he played well. That's pretty much what I agree with there.
Spot on.
And followed up with that was best tactical move on Saturday was Nat Phillips not being on the bench. I think we've got him to about the third, and then he's back to Liverpool once the game's over. So, yeah, that'll be good.
I think him and Lagerbielke both are for the off directly. I think that choice at the weekend was very telling. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. So we'll talk about the midfield. I think it was also great. Yeah, here we go. Love it was a comment I was looking for as well. So happy to see Rogers stick with a winning format.
Mhm.
First team for a few games now. As we need a settled team. So that was good to see as well. So for me, I'm looking at it going, the midfield, Calmac came to play. O'Reilly came to play. Those guys were just hunting. They were getting in, chasing down balls and working their asses off just as hard off the ball. And they weren't afraid to, kick someone or bump someone around or whatever and beat that. So that was great to see. Bernardo, we've waxed lyrical about him already on the pod tonight, so I don't think we need to go too much into those three, other than that three there is a really well-balanced midfield. So I think if you've got those three and you've got Hatade up your sleeve, then you've got 4 quality guys for 3 positions. It works perfectly. It's what you want to have in your midfield. You want to have that one guy coming off the bench challenging. We had that last season with Moy. We had that the year before with Rogic around the team. So you've always had that one extra guy who would start every other week, but they're not. And it keeps everyone on their toes to keep their spots. So I think the midfield's working great. Up front, yeah, Maeda, we said earlier, was wasteful, but his work rate was made up for it. I think he had the touch of a baby elephant on the weekend and a few times. I saw a baby elephant today, by the way. I went to the zoo. Way to bring the new year, go to the zoo with my missus. And yeah, there was actually a little baby elephant getting his foot washed, without a scrubbing brush and everything. Strange tangent, but yeah. I'm going to call that elephant Maeda. There you go, Liam, just for you.
Aye, well, you talk about Christmas animals, just to remind everyone, a dog's for life, not just for Christmas. So be careful who you get off with at the Christmas party.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway.
If we're going to go there, a joke was said at the CSC on Saturday about, how the snow coming down in Glasgow and, there's no Rangers fans in the stadium. So who do you feel the worst for in that weather? Yeah.
Their sisters.
Their sister wives. Yep. Anywho, well, yeah, just looking at it, I thought that was a pretty quiet game from, what's his name, from Palmer? Tangent threw me off a bit. Kyogo looked back himself as well. I mean, do you think Baby Elephant C's got the touch of Dess's? Robert Gibson's got a hot take for everyone. Was that the McCarthy FC Wanderers game today? So in the A-League, both those sides would have beaten the Huns. There you have it. I'll take your word for it. Robert didn't see the game, but yeah, there's some quality teams out here. So, yeah, up front, Kyogo was decent, and then the subs coming in. I think we dropped off a bit, like Turnbull. Yeah, it just not doing it for me in that lineup at the moment. I feel like whenever he comes on, we tend to lose a bit of midfield momentum. But yeah, other than that, I thought O got out there and battled hard, so that was good to see as well. Mikey had his moments, but still was not quite at the required level. So
I don't think Turnbull would have come on if not for the booking of Bernardo. I think that was a necessitated move rather than a tactical one.
Was he booked in that incident where Goldson went over the ball and basically hit him, and then sort of fell over trying to get? He was booked in that incident, was he?
Yes. Booked for having the audacity to get kicked by a Hun. Yeah.
That was probably Walsh's only really poor moment, I thought, because you look back at that, and even VAR, you could probably argue needs to step in there. That was awful. Yeah, that was. I hated that moment. But I probably just want to, if I can, really circle back to the midfield for a second. Not so much Bernardo, Jared, but just with our captain. For me, we were talking. Liam was talking about Norosky potentially being man of the match. Well, for me, Calmac was my man of the match and standout. And it all starts and ends with your captain. And for these kind of contests, you want your on-field leaders to stand up, and you want your on-field leaders to set the tone. And he did that from the off. He was straight on the ball. He wasn't taking anything that they were throwing at him. He was moving the ball quickly. He was constantly buzzing around. He was getting stuck in. He was getting in their faces. He was doing everything you want your leader to do in that kind of match. Really stand up and lead by example. And he did that throughout the 90, I thought. And he deserves a massive shout out for that. And he rightly awarded, I think, man of the match, as you said earlier, in bar 7 or so forth. And yeah, it wasn't so much what he did, but it was the way he led by example. It was so important, and he deserves a massive shout out for that.
Yep, 100%. Vinny with some my reaction when Turnbull came priceless.
That's right.
Yeah, it wasn't the most nice sort of thing. Yeah, so talking about cards, right? Quickly having a look here. We had 4 starters got booked and 3 off the bench. So we had 7 yellows. And then they had 3 yellows and a red. So yeah, it was a little bit on the old card happy. But anyway, I think we'll just wrap that game up there. The talk there. We've been going for an hour on it. We still had a couple other things to chat about quickly, so we'll smash through them and finish the pod, because I reckon we could probably be here for maybe another half hour if we wanted easily.
There's another Simpsons meme there. Stop it! They're already dead.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll quickly talk on Harry Kewell's departed Celtic to take over as head coach at Yokohama F Marinos. So the 3rd straight Aussie coaching them. Angel's there, Kevin Muscat now Harry's there. Personally, for his career, I think it's a good move to him go to a club where we'll see what he's learned under Ange and Brendan, and go over to the club and where there's already a culture they're used to working with Australians. I think it's a good move for him. So he's left, and then we brought in Adam Sadler. I actually had to write it down properly because I keep thinking Adam Sandler, little Nicky, the water boy, all that sort of stuff coming in. But he worked with Rogers down at Leicester. So yeah, we've had that change of assistant coach there. So all the best, Harry. Hope you do well.
Yeah, agree wholeheartedly. He, he's had a couple of gigs now in England where they haven't all worked out. He's at Crawley Town, Notts County, Barnet. I think Crawley left on his own volition to go to Notts County, but at Notts County and Barnet, he got moved on. I was in the wilderness for a little bit there. Obviously, under Ange and Brendan at Celtic, he's done a really good job, and I agree with you, Jared. It's a good move for him because it's not a step into the unknown. Really, there's that connection Yokohama has with Australian managers, and also with Harry's predecessors and a contemporary in Kevin Muscat. So there's a little bit of an easier transition period there, I think, and it's a good league for him to find his feet at the top job again. So I hope he does really well, and I look forward to him doing really well at Yokohama.
And then Liam can keep an eye on him for us and do the old J-League report for us every week.
Well, I mean, Yokohama's thing is continuity. They had Ange, and then they went with Muscat because he was going to continue the same style. And he did. He won a championship with him. And now I think they're looking to Harry to carry on that same mentality. And I hope so, because Yokohama have been a really good team to watch under Ange and then under Muscat as well. So long may that continue. Yeah, and hopefully there's still a relationship there with Celtic, and we can maybe Celtic can come over and play Yokohama again next year. That would be nice.
I say let's send them Harry a couple of players on loan for the rest of the next season as well. So they want to take Kiwiashi, for instance. Well, you can have him.
Yep,
I'd be happy with that. And you know what? You need a goalkeeper. Take Segrist. At least he's closer to his missus in Australia. He's only 9 hours away. Get him off our payroll. Liam rolling the eyes at that comment. So what we'll do is we'll just talk. There's like one more game on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning our time. We're playing St Mirren. So it'll be our last game before the winter break. So predicted starting lineup. I'll keep the same lineup we just started against the Huns with, except Naroski in for Welsh. Be happy to see that. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree. I'd keep exactly the same 11 with Naroski coming in for Welsh. Let's keep that continuity going.
And Liam, where do you think the game will be won, and any changes you think as well to the lineup?
No, I don't change a winning formula. Go with the same team. I think it will be a stuffy game. It will definitely not be as open as the game at the weekend was, but I think we'll win 2-0. I hope that we can get the game safely, the points secured in the first half, then maybe Hatate can get a wee run out in the second half. I don't want to risk him if the game's in a balance because, well, if I was a St Mirren boss, I would say kick him at every opportunity because he's coming back off an injury. It's cynical, but it works. So I would say don't risk him unless the game's already comfortable. But hopefully by halftime it will be.
I just don't want to take the piss while going to Paisley to go play the game there because over the last couple of seasons, how many times have we gone there and it's a banana skin game for us? Like we've just picked up the points, so I don't want to get in any trouble.
Aye. I mean, that's a good point. They have given us trouble the last few years. Even Ange got beat there, so need to be careful.
So Shane's just put in our little chat here that Japan's Asian Cup squad was released in the last half an hour. No Kyogo, but Hatate and Maeda are in.
Oh, so, all right.
What's your thoughts on that?
To be honest, I'm surprised Hatate got in. I'm not surprised Maeda got in because he's been a stalwart for the last couple of years. Kyogo, I mean, look, we know Moriyasu doesn't rate him. That's that's on record. And
we have a striker over the Asian Cup now. Yes. Yeah. We don't have to put Johnny Tony.
Aye. To give Moriyasu his credit though, like Kyogo has not played anywhere near as well for Japan as he does for Celtic. It's just this. I don't know if it's the system or if it's nerves, whatever, but he doesn't play as well for Japan as he does for Celtic consistently. It's just there are some guys who are they're great in domestic football, they're maybe not quite there in international football. And it's not a question of Kyogo's ability.
Yeah, I was about to say Scott McDonald, unfortunately.
Well, I mean that's a classic example. Scored in the Champions League, but couldn't do it for Australia. It's like, how does that work? But yeah, the Asian Cup is it's going to be an interesting tournament, and I really hope Rio Hatate can make an impact because he's going to have a harder time staying in the squad long term than either Kyogo or Maeda. If Kyogo keeps doing what he did at the weekend, then eventually it's going to get to the point where Moriyasu can't ignore him. But Hatate is up against people like Kubo, some real world-class midfielders. Japan is blessed with some of the best midfielders they've ever had at the moment. And Rio Hatate is a brilliant player, but is he going to get into a team that has people like that in it? That's going to be tough. Hopefully, he'll get some game time during this tournament. Japan are, I think, in with a good shout of winning it, as are Australia, actually, to be fair. It's going to be an interesting tournament. But yeah, hopefully Hatate can do some damage. And Maeda will just do what he always does for Japan, which is play as a main striker and hopefully get a few goals. So
it's so weird.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
that dynamic is so weird because you've got this is one year Japan don't view Kyogo as a centre forward only as a wide striker. Maeda plays more through the middle for Japan than Kyogo does, but then you get it Celtic and the role flipped over, so it's a little bit odd. But talking about I don't think Hatate will get much game time over there, if any, right?
No.
As you're saying there, Liam. However, if he's got the choice between being off for so long and injured, or going for and staying in a cold Scotland or whatever, or going for some warm weather training against world-class midfielders and that some of the Japanese guys are, what's going to get his level up to what we need to make him the player to launch in the second half of the season for us? I think going up against someone like Kubo and Matoma and those sort of guys day in, day out at training in that sort of weather, he's going to come back a lot sharper than he would have been if he just stayed with us and did our winter training wherever we do that, whether we go to Portugal or whatever we do. So we'll take the silver lining there.
It's definitely better than going for a pint in Dubai, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And just really quickly on the Asian Cup, I don't know if we've had a podcast since then. I can't remember, but obviously Tilio got selected, and so he's off to the Asian Cup as well. And I called it. Sorry, I said I was going to do this on the next pod. I actually said in the group chat I was going to be completely unbearable, but I've toned down now. But yeah, no, he there's definitely something there. Look, Graham Arnold, the Australian manager, basically said, I think they're 23-man squads or 26-man squads or something like that. And he basically said if we didn't, it's an extended squad bigger than usual. And he basically said if we didn't have an extended squad, he wouldn't have been in. So, so Tilio's going to the Asian Cup. We'll probably see more for the Socceroos than we do for Celtic.
You know, sorry to interrupt there, right? But that is a really shitey thing for a manager to say about any player. See, regardless of where the guy is just now in his club team, whatever, that is an awful thing to say for a manager. That's ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure that's what he said, or he at least alluded to, basically because of the extended squads we brought him in. But
that's not going to do with the boys' confidence. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I've said it many times. Graham Arnold, flog, absolutely.
Yep.
There it is. There it is. I'm just like, getting all serious. Like, douche.
I was wondering what you were doing then. I was like, this is getting really serious.
Yep, that's my serious face. But yeah, like I'm looking at it going, Tilio's going for a training session as well. If he gets games, whatever. But what's come back at our lineup, like when Abada's just come back as well, pushes him further down the rank, down the things there. So yeah, there's that. Tilio's the same size as a Sabeto player again. There's that comment. Yeah, he's little. He's a fucking good player though.
Yeah, and there's just a little bit of a rumor that's come out recently that he's looking for a loan move back to the A-League, unfortunately.
That's with Shane.
Yeah. So I don't mind the loan move idea, but I want to back up what you said a few weeks ago. Scotland, have him loaned to another Scottish Premiership club, get him some game time there. I don't think it's a great look if he comes back just exclusively to the A-League on loan. Try and stay in Scotland, mate, and build your career there.
It's the same with Yuki Kobayashi. If you go back to your domestic league, that's you basically conceding that you haven't cut it in Europe. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Worst case scenario for those two, I look at it and go, there's a player in both of them. So I'm like, go on loan for 6 months at least within Scotland. If you're not going to do that, worst case scenario, go to our feeder team over in Austria if you can go there on loan. I'd rather that. Like, stay in Europe. But RL77, Graham Arnold sounds like quite a Hun name. Well, he is pretty much one. So that's all I have to say. We'll just quickly finish off the thing about St Mirren. So for me, St Mirren game, I think we'll win 3-1. I'm sticking with my 3-1. It's coming. Unlike that mob. Shane, you got your score prediction?
Yeah, they had a pretty decent win against Aberdeen, actually. I think 3-0 in the end. So, and sometimes they cause us a little bit of trouble, even though we've had good form against them in terms of wins. Yeah, I'll probably say 3-1 as well, to be honest, Joe. I reckon you're on the money.
I don't like that. Jeez. Okay. So, I think we'll wrap the pod up there. Just with just to let you know, with the winter break coming up, I'm still trying to finalize what the go for the actual pod's going to be. I'm thinking it'll probably just be Monday pot Noodle, Thursday of the Thursday sesh, the weekend review. They tend to only do their shows when there's games on, so there'll be one of them coming out in the next 24 hours or so, and then I don't think there'll be any of that on the international break, but it's still to be determined. Next week, I want to dive into the transfer window and what we need and everything, because the winter break, there might be the St Mirren game to discuss everything, so we'll dive into that. So I'm just saying that because Anthony, you put that going forward and being realistic, what positions do you want filled in this January window? I'll say goalkeeper and left back are my priorities now that Kyogo's not caught up for Japan. If I had answered this earlier in the pod, I would have had a striker there, but probably not as much now. So we'll dive into that a bit more next week. Robert, mate, would love to. Heated driveway update pod. Yep, sounds good. So anyway, we'll finish the pod there. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend and New Year's. When you go back to work, whenever it is on Monday, Tuesday, whatever day of the week it is, I don't know. Just if you see, my final thought is, if you see someone crying, just give them a tissue to wipe away those Hun tears. Shane, you got a final thought?
Just to want to wish everybody a happy new year and hope 2024 is everything you want it to be and more. Thanks, troops.
And Liam?
Well, I'll leave you with a little bit of philosophy. The optimist always sees the light at the end of the tunnel. The pessimist sees a dark, dark tunnel. The realist sees a freight train. The train driver sees 3 idiots on the rail line. Good night, everyone.
Ho ho.
Hell, hell.
Well.